thing that we're going to go through is image resizing. It's something that we probably should have addressed when you guys were building your color separations. I scan very high so that I get immense amount of detail, especially pencil detail, when you're dealing with artist hand and you want to get some of that character back into the foil. So if you go into image size, right now you'll see that I've separated these out. Sometimes you open it up and it looks like this, and your height to width to a resolution is all linked together. The file is quite sizey, and we don't need that to print on a black and white laser printer. If I hit resample and then go in and knock this down to about 200, you'll see that this drops to about a 6 megabyte file, and that's a perfectly fine size once I've gotten everything to the size I want to have it printed, that it's not a little bitty postage stamp size file anymore, to begin to work with this and print it out on that black and white laser printer. If I were taking this to a professional printer and I was not working with it in the foil lab or in a silkscreen studio, I would keep my resolution up towards 300. So I'm going to hit OK so that I start to save more space on my folder or on my jump drive. You'll notice that it reduced down on the screen, but our measurements stayed the same. Now let's explore some more options that we have as far as when we work with some of the filters. Very first thing I'm going to do is move this to grayscale again. And I might adjust the levels a little bit more if I want, so I can add a little bit more dark black into this. All of this is your own personal take on this. Next thing I'm going here is to pixelate, and I'm going to go to color halftone, and I'm going to explore what happens if this is at 16. I'd actually like to see if I can go higher than that, and we'll say okay, we'll see what happens. And you notice that we get much bigger dots, and with this dot, this would be something that I'd either keep in this, or I would go under adjustments and invert it and print it out and attach the toner and keep the leftover stuff that's coming from the foil. If I backtrack a little, and so I'm stepping backwards, and I try this again, I can go back into the color pixelate again, and maybe this time I do this at 12. And this is something you could do a multiples of within a composition that you're doing. You can also copy and paste this over a color file so that you can do some samples. I really like to live in the moment and let the foil have a conversation with me and not do too much planning. There's this serendipitous quality that happens with the foil, and you kind of have to give over it and give over to it and let it drive instead of you trying to tell it what to do. It's part of that dialogue. So fully try to embrace that. There was one other area in here that I had thought I wanted to go to, just so that you think about, what happens with the pixelate, what happens with a mezzotint, how tight those can be. These are all options that are there too. That might work. It might be that the cell size needs to get a little bit bigger, and that adds to your composition. This is all going to be however you want to work with your composition. With this, I'm going to stop working with the feather. I'm going to stop working in Photoshop, and I'm going to start to talk about appropriated text and how to grab things off of your cell phone. Since most of us are heading towards more and more digital, we're doing less and less scanning and more photographing.